This lesson is from our course Blues Guitar Foundation Rhythm 3, which you can learn more about by looking in the description below. Also, you can get the tab and notation for everything in this lesson on our Patreon page. Welcome to Lesson 10. In this lesson, you're going to learn the Stevie Ray Vaughan Shuffle. So in this lesson, I want to teach you a really cool shuffle rhythm known as the Stevie Ray Vaughan Shuffle. And that's not like it's an official name or anything. It's just called that because it's based on Stevie Ray Vaughan's song Pride and Joy. And I'm not teaching the song Pride and Joy note for note. I'm mainly just teaching you the main shuffle rhythm of it, because that's the really cool part of it. Pride and Joy has a lot more going on in it with a lot of single note stuff. And if you want to learn that, you can just check it out on YouTube or anywhere and learn that note for note. But once you get this main part down, the rest of the song is going to be a lot easier to learn because this main shuffle rhythm takes a lot of work if you're not used to it. So first I'll just demo a full 12-bar blues playing this, and then I'll break down what I did. So the main thing about this Stevie Ray Vaughan Shuffle is that the rhythm is still a shuffle, but it's down and up strums the whole time. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. But you can see it's still a shuffle. I'm not just going... I'm going like this. So this is straight. This is shuffle. So it's the same rhythm as what we were doing with this. It's just now we're strumming through all the strings and we're going down, up, down, up. And that may be the first thing you need to work on if you're not used to that, is just being able to alternate strum a shuffle like that. Because you've got to keep that feel going the whole time to be able to play this song. So the main thing about this riff is that it has a bass line going, but in between all the bass notes and with one of the bass notes, you have the open string strummed on an upstroke, but they're quickly muted out like this. So it's... And that may be the next thing you need to work on, is down with muted strings, up with open strings, but quickly mute those out so they're staccato, and then down again. And the other thing about this rhythm and the way Stevie Ray Vaughan played in general is that it's a really aggressive rhythm. It's not something you can just play lightly, or you're not going to, if you do that, you're not going to have the right feel. So along with that, the bass line that is happening is this. First on the E chord, which would be an E7, would be open 6th string, 6th string 3rd fret, 6th string 4th fret, 5th string 2nd fret, 5th string 4th fret. So that's the first bar. So but on the second beat, it's actually from the 6th string 3rd fret to the 6th string 4th fret. Those are all within one beat, so it's 2 8th notes. So it'd be like this. And then from there, you go to the 4th string 2nd fret, and then back to the 6th string 3rd fret, and then the 6th string 4th fret, 5th string 2nd fret. So the whole thing up to that point, just the bass line is... But like I said, between most of those bass notes, you have an up strum with open strings. So that's your first movement. But then you have to quickly come with the next note. But then this next one, where you play the 6th string 4th fret, is actually playing this bass note with the open strings. And if I just play it like that, it sounds horrible. But if I play it fast, it sounds good. 'Cause it's so fast, you don't hear it like this, which sounds horrible. It's just passing through that note that's on the 6th string, 4th fret. So the whole first bar is like this. And that may take you a month just to get that part. It's not an easy thing to play if you've never done it before, and if you've never played more advanced rhythms before like this. And it took me a long time to get down, and I already had been playing a long time when I learned this song. But once you actually get it down, it feels really natural. And it's one of those rhythms where it's really hard to play slow, but once you get it up to tempo, then you're just really feeling it, and your hand is just doing this the whole time, and it actually feels much easier to play it faster than it does slow. So the big thing about it, besides hitting the bass note up on the open strings and meeting them out really quickly, but then when you hit that 6th string, 4th fret, you've got to arch your finger enough so that you can get some open strings underneath that 6th string, 4th fret, but then quickly mute those out as well. And then that just continues with the rest of the bass line. So starting over. So now I'm on the and of 3 right there in the second bar, and then we play that A to E7 move that we played in a previous rhythm. So that part should actually be fairly easy to you since we already worked on it. So that's the 4 and 1. So hitting that E7 is on the first beat of the next bar. And so that E7 is in place of that first bass note that we played in the first bar. So 4 and 1. So you can see the whole time my hand is kind of going like this. And if you watch Stevie Ray Vaughan do it, he's really doing that exaggerated. It's big movements. His hand is really strumming, and he's kind of got this circular motion going, which I've never really done. But to get the feel, you've got to put a lot into it. But like I was saying, it's hard to play it slow and build up to that. But once you get to there, it's going to feel a lot better and a lot more natural. But it takes a lot of work to get to that point. So don't feel like you're going to just get this overnight. And the other thing, when you're hitting those bass notes, you're not just lightly hitting that note by itself. You're really coming down on the strings. So you're hitting the bass note, but you're hitting all the other strings at the same time. So the way you're only getting that bass note to ring out is muting all the other strings that you're not playing. So for example, if I'm playing the open 6th string, I can hit through all the strings, but I'm muting everything except that open 6th string. And that's how you get that feel. You don't want to just lightly play the bass notes and think you're going to be able to get that to sound right. It won't sound right at all. So now that's over the E7. When you switch to the A7, you do that A to E7 move again, but again, you leave out the E7 this time when you're switching to A. And right there, that's the 4 and, switching to the A7 in the 5th bar. Now you just come down on the open 5th string, which is the A note. So it's the same bass note pattern, but it's on the different set of strings. So it's open 5th string, 5th string 3rd fret, 5th string 4th fret, 4th string 2nd fret, 4th string 4th fret, 3rd string 2nd fret, then back to 5th string 3rd fret, 5th string 4th fret, 4th string 2nd fret. So the bass line on the A is. And then again, it's going to have that to go back to the E. But over the A is actually a little more difficult, because now when you're hitting those bass notes, you've got to mute low strings. So for example, I hit that open 5th string, I've got to mute the 6th string with my thumb. Otherwise, if I hit the 6th string and the 5th string open, it just sounds muddy. It's not going to sound right. So it's actually a little more difficult over the A7, even though it's the exact same rhythm, the exact same bass line just on different strings, but it's a little harder to mute out like the 6th string when you're doing that. And then when you're hitting the 4th string, you've got to be really careful not to hit the 5th string, and there's really no good way to mute that out. So unless, I guess what I kind of do is when I hit the 4th string, I use the tip of this finger to mute out the 5th string. So you kind of just have to work with it and see best ways that you can mute stuff out and get everything to ring out nice and clear. So instead of playing what's actually in Pride and Joy over the B7 and A7 in the 9th and 10th frets, all I did in the example was the B7 on a down strum, up strum on muted strings. So I'm just releasing pressure of those notes. But in 8th notes, shuffle 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then and on open strings. And on that B7, you can let that 2nd string ring out if you want. And then in the 10th fret, we switch to the A7 that you know. Exact same rhythm, just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up on open strings. And when you're playing up on the muted strings, so down, up on the muted strings, you can let that A note ring out the whole time, the 5th string. And then from there, I just went right back to the Stevie Ray Vaughan Shuffle rhythm. And then that's in the last bar, and you can do pretty much anything for that last rhythm. That to turn around or that to end. Everything that we've already worked on. So like I said, this may take you a really long time to master this or even be able to play it smoothly or even be able to play the first bar smoothly. Don't get frustrated. Just work on it slowly. Work on one element at a time. So you may just work on the actual shuffle rhythm with the muted strings going down and up. That may be something you need to work on for quite a while. And then maybe you just work on this until you can play that. And then maybe you need to stop that and just work on the bass line so that you make sure that you know where all the notes are. Just playing that over and over again, even just playing it lightly with alternate picking or all down picking, not doing really aggressive strums like you're going to need to do eventually, but just making sure you know where all those notes are. And then maybe you try to play that bass line with the more aggressive strums and muting out the rest of the string so that you can hit that bass note and some of the muted strings. And just be aware that on that 3rd fret to 4th fret move, when you're hitting the 4th fret on the 6th string, that's an upstroke. So that's good to practice with an upstroke even if you don't have any open strings ringing out. So maybe you do that over and over and over again until you can play it. And then maybe you start over and just get the first bass note and the first up strum down. Until that's down, then you add in the next bass note. And just do that over and over. And then add in the next bass note. This is something, like I said, if you're not used to playing this type of rhythm, if you haven't played more advanced rhythms before, it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of time. Don't get frustrated. Break it into small pieces, do it really slowly out of time, and eventually it's going to start feeling natural to you. And like I said, it's one of those rhythms that when you play it slowly, it's hard to have the right feel, and the more you speed it up, the better the feel is. But the tricky part is that you have to start slowly to get it down. So break it down element by element. Eventually it'll feel really natural to you and you'll be able to do it. Once you get it over the 1 chord, then do it just over the 4 chord, and then do those back and forth over and over, and then work on the other parts of the 12-bar blues that I showed you. Like I said, this was just my own variation, the rest of the 12-bar blues. If you want to learn the actual Pride and Joy song, just search it on YouTube, and there's different versions out there where you can learn the whole song, note for note. But like I said, that first shuffle part with the bass notes and the up strums on the open strings is the hardest part to get down usually for learning that song. And then once you can play the whole thing out of time but really smoothly, then work up to playing it with the backing track. But like I said, don't worry if this takes you a year to master or to even play proficiently. Just do it slowly. It's not something you have to learn right away. As you can even move into the next blues courses in this series, you don't necessarily have to have this down first. I hope you liked that lesson. Again, it's from our course Blues Guitar Foundation Rhythm 3, which you can learn more about by looking in the description below. And again, the tab and notation for this lesson are on our Patreon page. So thanks for watching, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and keep moving forward.